So Eric Bischoff decided to go and showed up at NXT this week. And by him showing up, NXT's ratings dropped. At the same time, the man had the audacity to go into a podcast and actually said that AEW has no hope. And we're going to be talking about that and much more this week as we give our feedback on this statement he made. And we're going to be talking about that and much more on the Chokeslam Wrestling Report.
Is the moment we've all been waiting for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
Welcome to another episode of the Chokeslam Wrestling Report. I am your host, the infamous Ultimate One. And this week, as you see on my screen, we're going to be talking about Eric Bischoff, or as I like to call him, Bitch Off, because that's what he's been doing the last couple of years, last 5 years. Now, we all saw it this week when he showed up at NXT, meaning that he popped on the screen the week before that he was going to show up at NXT, and I don't know what he was going to do. But the bottom line is he showed up on the go-home show for NXT's deadline, whatever it was. And the numbers went, right? But funny, this is the same guy that for the last 5 years, he has been taking shots at AEW. I don't know what is his problem with AEW, but I mean, I could just point out at one situation that I'm going to say, and this is probably pretty much people going to agree with me. But this is the same guy that at one point when TNA was around, when Dixie Carter was around, Eric Bischoff was brought in as the guy who's going to help TNA go to the next level. He brought in his little pal, his little racist Hulk Hogan into the mix. And they went to TNA and all they did was take the money and waste time. Now, mind you that everybody, even AJ Styles, said that, you know, Dixie Carter did not want to take advice from anybody. She wanted to do her thing the way she always wanted. But Eric Bischoff is known as the guy who took WCW and created it to a multi-million-dollar company, and the same multi-million-dollar he created, he put it down the toilet. All because he kept giving wrestlers guaranteed contracts. The Kevin Nash, the Scott Hall, especially Hulk Hogan, and his creative control in his contract that made WCW disappear a couple of years later after the 95, 96. That's when everything started exploding with the NWO with 96, and it all died 5 years later. How ironic that 5 years later, WCW was bought by WWE. And this man's still around acting like he is the best thing since sliced bread. Okay, he goes to his 83 Weeks podcast and takes shot after shot at Tony Khan and AEW since day one. Now, mind you that Bischoff did show up at AEW a couple of times, but maybe in his head, he figured, well, Tony Khan's going to come to his senses and bring me in as, you know, a guy who's going to help AEW grow. Well, apparently, being the fact that he is very close to Mr. Hulk Hogan, he decided that, no, not bringing in Eric Bischoff as part of my company. And ever since that, Bischoff has taken his 83 Weeks podcast platform to take shots at AEW. Now, he did show up at NXT this week, and NXT, again, this was a go-home show for NXT Deadline. They only produced 593,000 people to watch the show. Now, mind you that NXT is no longer in USA Network. It's on the channel 11, which is the local channel. It's not something that you can't see on TV or whatever you need a cable. You can see it. But NXT sell for $593. Now, mind you, AEW didn't do any better. I don't understand why AEW is not doing better when I saw the show this week and the show was pretty good with the Continental Classics. I guess people are just not tuning in and whatnot. But with Eric Bischoff then decides that he wants to go to Ariel Helwani's podcast, the same clown who has CM Punk in April during WrestleMania, to sit down and bash AEW. This is what Ariel Helwani does. He's a WWE shield. He's paid by WWE to have guys like Mr. Eric Bischoff go in there and trash AEW and whatnot. I mean, these are the same people that said that AEW was not going to be around after 2024. And yet they just signed a new deal with Warner Brothers. Now, as far as the shows is concerned, I mean, the show was pretty good. I cannot complain, even though I understand why maybe a lot of, AEW fan is no longer watching. Now, I could go back and I could just explain this. Again, all those people that after, I think it was all out, or after Moxley won the belt, you could actually see that it was a hard reset. And then they started using the younger guys. Right now, Private Party, who's been there for 5 years, they gave him the belts after 5 years. But then, if you think about it, look at the top flights. You look at the Butcher and the Blade. If you saw the Battle Royal this week, you had Butcher and the Blade in there. You had Lance Archer there, who's been there 4 years. They got him with the Don Callis family, teaming up with Brian Cage and whatnot. Then you had Kyle O'Reilly right now. It's now looking like for a few with Adam Cole, even though that storyline with MJF, Adam Cole, not Kyle O'Reilly involved. It's not getting people's attention. No one cares anymore because the whole Devils thing last year didn't follow up this year after January, after World's End, because MJF got hurt. So did Adam Cole before MJF got hurt, and that pretty much died down the whole storyline. No one cares. Now, the crazy part that I'm looking at now, as far as when it comes to AEW, is the whole story with John Moxley and the Death Riders. Now we saw this week actually, was Orange Cassidy, Hangman Page, and Jay White all banding together for a common enemy, which is the Death Riders. Now, what's going to happen at World's End? We don't know yet. You know what I'm saying? But yes, AEW is going through some real bad time right now. But it's better for them to go through these bad times now. They have it down 10, 15 years later when you, let's say you was the bombs, and all of a sudden now your product sucks. And people are not giving them a chance, and that's the problem. People probably are not invested in the storyline. And then you got people who just don't even watch the product, AEW Dynamite, but yet want to talk shit about it online and talk about how horrible it is, but they don't watch the product. They don't watch the product. Now, I'm not here to defend AEW, but I'm definitely going to defend AEW when it comes to Eric Bischoff, because Bischoff, again, proved that he does not have anything in the business. Now, people are talking about Bully Ray is another guy. Oh, he has a good mind for the business and his storylines. I mean, his feedback on storyline makes no fucking sense. It's still a ECW, mindset, which don't make no sense sometimes. But then you got guys like him, like Eric Bischoff, Jim Cornette. Jim Cornette, I haven't heard from in a long time. But Eric Bischoff's been, like, every single day he's in Twitter, just, I don't know if he's trolling the fans, but, you know what I'm saying? He did put something on Twitter talking about he can care less with AEW. You can care less with AEW, but every time you turn around, those initials keep coming out of your mouth. So apparently you are, being a hypocrite. Because if you could care less, why you keep talking about that? Why don't you just move on? WWE probably gave you robbed WWE, because I'm sure they pay you for showing up at NXT. You didn't help NXT. NXT is not doing any better either. And this whole TV rating shit, it's going to be over with. Because after January and whatnot, now you're going to have AEW and Max. WWE is going to be in Netflix. SmackDown's still going to be in USA Networks. Rampage and Collision is going to be in TNT. I mean, do we really care? I mean, what's the whole purpose of this whole bullshit? It's people like Eric Bischoff, Bully Ray, Dave Meltzer. All these guys, all they do is creating a very toxic and wrestling community environment. Then you got guys like, the JDs from New York who calls in there. All he does is just talk shit, just to get little clicks, just to get paid. All his little minions follow him, and I'm gonna take a shot at him because he's another guy who's very toxic. Very toxic. You got other podcasters, they're very toxic. You know what I'm saying? Guys in the Twitter that I used to follow, very toxic. Because that's the way they are. That's the way they want to look at. They don't want to look at wrestling. They want to look at wrestling as a war. WWE versus AEW. There is no war. There was never a war. Okay? Triple H, Vince McMahon made it to look like it was a war. It was never a war from the get-go. Okay? So now, basically, if you look at it, there's been stuff being right now. They're talking about the Ray Phoenix situation. Ray Phoenix put himself in that situation because him and his brother Penta decided that they want to listen to Conan, and then Penta went up in his mouth talking about that WWE was doing merchandise for them. Like when they arrived at WWE, they were not on the contract. They were still on the contract with AEW when Penta said that. And then Ray Phoenix, who's always getting hurt because he's reckless in that ring, he got months added to his contract. That's part of it. When WWE was doing it, I didn't see nobody bitching about it. But now AEW does it. There's a problem. I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, this is the problem. Like right now, people don't just want to take shots at anything right now. And it's basically with AEW. Like, look, Survivor Series just passed last week, right? Out of that whole War Games, which was a great, I'm not going to, try Survivor Series. Survivor Series was pretty good. What I saw in the results after the aftermath of the War Games, look who got hurt. You got Bronson Reed, who broke his ankle. You got Jey Uso, who broke his toe. And Tangaloa had his bicep torn thanks to CM Punk and the damn toolbox that they brought inside the War Games. I don't understand why War Games you have to bring in weapons when that's never been like that. And I said this last week on my podcast. The War Games, you never had to bring in no damn how you call it? No weapons or nothing. Everything was about give up or surrender. Win or surrender. That was it. There was no pinfalls. WWE changed that whole shit. Okay, out of all that, I just mentioned the guys who got hurt. Bronson Reed went and tried to do a splash from the top of the cage. Why? And everybody talks crap about AEW and how they do this stuff and how reckless they are. But yet, here goes WWE, did that, and 3 wrestlers out. Jimmy with a broken toe. Tangaloa out probably for 9 months with a torn bicep, and now a broken ankle by Bronson Reed. So how come I don't see Eric Bischoff talking about that? Because he's a shield. This guy knows where the money is at. You know what I'm saying? That's what he uses 83 weeks of podcast platform to trash AEW. And then you got Connor Thompson, whatever his damn name is, being like a little minion, agreeing with half of his stuff. This is ridiculous. It's just constant. Every week we see this shit. See this shit on Twitter. You know what I'm saying? People complain about Ray Phoenix. People talking about Ricky Starks. I mean, don't get me wrong. Ricky Starks should let go. But he is under contract. And that's the way the contracts work. They picked up his option. AEW is not stupid. They're not going to let these guys go and lose more talent. You know what I'm saying? But Tony Khan has to change this whole thing also. Tony Khan does not get a free pass out of this. He needs to get his shit straight. Okay? Because this Continental Classic is very good, but it seems like nobody wants to watch it. Nobody cares. Because Tony Khan messed this up. He messed this whole thing. I think he messed it up once the World's End joint last year, and the whole Devil storyline, that was the best thing they ever had. That's when everything went pfft. They haven't hit 1 million since last year. March of last year. And that's a problem. But Eric Bischoff is a bigger problem. If even WWE got to see the numbers. They probably said, we brought him in for what? He didn't help the ratings. No one cares about Eric Bischoff. Eric Bischoff is irrelevant. And that's why I call him Eric Bitchoff, because that's what he does. He goes to Twitter to bitch about everything AEW does. But yet he's talking about AEW. He cares less about AEW. The guy's a clown. So that is it for me, guys. It's a very short week. It's not a lot of stuff going on in wrestling. I mean, we already went through the Survivor Series. New Japan Pro Wrestling, I'm definitely looking forward to that because New Japan Pro Wrestling has that Wrestle Kingdom and that Wrestle Dynasty. Right now, they're doing the World Tag League. It's not much to talk about that, but I'm very looking forward for those 2 shows coming up in January, Wrestle Kingdom and Wrestle Dynasty. It's going to be very, very interesting. I want Dynasty Gabe Kidd against Kenny Omega. You got David Finlay. I think he's putting his belt on the line. Very surprising. I saw this. I think it was Power Struggle that I watched last weekend when I saw Sonata joining with Bullet Club, and also Robbie X joined Bullet Club. So 2 new members for Bullet Club, being that Jake Lee is out, I think, with a broken tibia. I think he's going to be out for a while. And they just lost Alex Coughlin like the beginning of the year. So they just added 2 more. Actually, they had added 3 more members this year, but one of them got hurt, which is Jake Lee. And we're going to see what happens. So that is it for me today, guys. If you want to follow me on the Chokeslam Wrestling Report on the YouTube channel, Facebook, Instagram, and the X and whatnot. Also follow my little clips on TikTok. Is the Chokeslam Wrestling, and you'll see my little clips that I have there at Chokeslam Wrestling. You'll see them right there and whatnot. Also, guys, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit that notification bell. Hit that notification bell and hit that like. And let me know what you think about this whole Eric Bischoff. Leave me your comments, your feedback, and we're trying to get to 400 views, guys. We're not far. We need 12 more to hit that 400 mark. And I will appreciate if you guys share the this podcast and whatnot. Share that Chokeslam Wrestling Report. Again, let me know what you think about this whole Eric Bischoff situation. He's coming in to NXT. The numbers go down, yet he's criticizing AEW. Is he a factor in the wrestling business, or he just being a crybaby and whatnot, and he just lashing out on everything because this is a new generation of wrestlers? It's no longer his time. And let me know what you think, guys. So with that, guy, also check out my podcast store, which is tcwr.veryimpressive.com. That's tcwr.veryimpressive.com. And when I get your shirts, get your sweaters, get your hats. Christmas is coming around the corner. If you guys want to go and give, pretty much a gift to your friends, family, or loved ones. So until then, guys, I will see you guys next week with more of the Chokeslam Wrestling Report.